Hi, this is Al Williams of Sunset Hill Solutions. In this video, I'll be walking you through a few different ways that you can secure the objects and data in your universes and business objects for using business security profiles. Okay, so let's get started. As in our previous videos, we're going to be using this AdventureWorks demo universe. This universe is based on a SQL Server 2008 database that can be downloaded from codeplex.com. It's called AdventureWorks DW 2008. If you want more information on how to get this set up, if you have a look at the first video that I did, tutorial on the Information Design Tool Part 1, it has all that information. First, let's open up the data foundation in this project. One thing I want to point out is we've only got one master view in this data foundation. You can create multiple views that contain different tables in your database and assign security based on that. In our case, and you'll see how this is relevant in a few minutes, we only have the master view. To create a business security profile, we have to go up to the top menu bar here and click on this icon. It opens up a new session with the CMS. So I'm logging in as the administrator. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to navigate to our universe, AdventureWorks Demo. You can see we have one security profile here. It's a data security profile. It's a row restriction on countries that was covered in a previous video that was performed. However, we want to create some business security profiles in this video. So I'm going to click on this icon here. The first thing we want to do is give this business security profile a name. And we're going to call this business security profile Sales by Geographic Region. There's three different types of business security profiles you can create, and we'll go through all of them. The first one is create query, then display data, and filters. First thing that we need to do is grant access or deny access to business layer views in the data foundation. In our case, we only have the master view, which contains all the tables in our data foundation, so we're going to grant access to that. So now we're going to grant some access to some of the objects in the universe. We're going to grant access to the reseller sales folder, which has all of the sales facts, and we'll go with geography, sales territory, and order date. Click OK. So we now see that those three classes of objects have been granted access. Now I'm going to insert denied. So the objects I'm going to deny access to will be all the rest of the dimension tables. So currency, all of these ones that we don't want them to have access to. And click OK. So now we can see the objects have been granted access and the ones that have been denied. So what we've done here is we've created a create query business security profile that restricts access to only the objects in these folders in the master view. I'll click OK to save this, and I'll make sure that I also click the save button up here. Now there's one more thing that I need to do. I've created this business security profile, but I haven't assigned this profile to any users. So I'm going to assign this profile to one user called Frank. Typically you'd assign this to a group of users. It makes it much easier to administer that way, but for the sake of this demo, Frank's going to belong to this business security profile. Now I'll save this again. Okay, so now we want to go in and test that this business security profile works as designed. So in order to do that, I'll log into BI Launchpad. Logging in as Frank, who's the user we assigned to that business security profile. And we'll go into Web Intelligence. And we'll create a new Web Intelligence document, and we'll select the universe. And we'll select the AdventureWorks demo universe. Now we've got the query panel, so we can see we have the reseller sales fact table and the 2 dimension tables that we granted access to Frank for. So if I go ahead and pick sales territory country, calendar year, and sales amount and try and run this query, let's see what happens. Okay, I've got an error message when trying to refresh the current document. Some objects are not available to your user profile, so we obviously forgot something. Let's go back and see what we didn't do. So we'll go back into Information Design Tool. We'll have another look at this Business Security Profile. So for the Create Query tab, we've granted access to these 3 classes of objects, but we have not granted access to display the data in these 3 classes, so we have to do that. I'm going to go ahead and pick those same 3. Click OK. Click OK, and make sure I save it. Now I'll go back into Web Intelligence. I'm going to close this panel because I think I may have to log off first. Log back in as Frank. Let's go ahead and try and create that same report and see if we can actually see the data. Okay, new report, universe, and Adventure Work demo. So let's go ahead and pick the same objects. So we want the country, calendar year, and we want the sales amount. And we'll run the query now. So now the report worked. We saw only the objects we were granted access to in the query panel, and we only were able to see data that we were granted access to for the Business Security Profile. Let's switch back to Information Design Tool. Now we're going to go ahead and create a second Business Security Profile, and we'll call this Business Security Profile Product Sales. We'll grant access to the master view like we did before. We're not going to grant access on the Create Query tab to any of the objects in the universe because for this example, this user is only going to be someone who views reports. They're not going to be a report creator. So if I go ahead and Display Data tab, now I'm going to grant access for this Business Security Profile to the objects that can be viewed when viewing a report. So we'll go ahead and we'll pick Reseller Sales, and we'll pick Product, we'll pick Geography Sales Territory, and Order Date. And click OK. Now we'll deny access to the remaining classes. So let's go ahead and deny access to the remaining classes in this universe. So I've gone ahead and selected the objects. So now we've granted access to these 4 classes: the sales, product, order date, and geography sales territory. I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to assign the user Dave to this product sales business security profile and save. Now let's go ahead and test to make sure that Dave only has access to the data that we granted him access to. So we'll go back into BA Launchpad. I've created a couple of reports and I'm logged in as the administrator now. So we have a report called Display Data Success Dave. So I'll just show you the objects we have in this report. I'll click on Design and go into Data Access and edit the data provider. So you can see we have the sales territory country, the product name, and the sales amount. So these are objects from 3 classes that we've granted access for Dave. Now if I go ahead, I'll close this and I'll open up Display Data Failure Dave, and we'll have a look at and going back into design mode for this one. Go into Data Access and we'll edit this data provider. We can see that I have the English promotion name. So this comes from the promotion class, and if we remember, in our product sales business security profile, we have denied access to the promotion class. Okay, I'll go back into Web Intelligence. Now I'm going to log off as the administrator, log back in as Dave, and we'll see what happens when I try and open these two reports. Okay, logged in as Dave. I'm going to go ahead and expand the folders here and go into sales reports. First I'm going to run the report that should work for Dave, and I set both of these reports to refresh on open. So let's open the display data success, and again we can see the report did run successfully. There's no error messages. Now if I open up the one that's supposed to fail because it has objects from the promotion class, let's see what happens. Getting an error message, and this is exactly what we expect. Some objects are not available to your user profile. You cannot refresh this document. So that's the desired effect here when a user runs a report, attempts to access data that they haven't been given access to in their business security profile. We'll switch back to Information Design Tool, and we'll create another business security profile using the Filter tab. And for this one, we're going to call it North American Sales. We want to insert granted to the master view. And we want to insert, for the display data, we want to insert grant to all objects, because we're not going to restrict which objects this user can use in a report or view in a report. The next step is to go to the Filters tab. So we're going to insert a filter by clicking on the Insert button here. We're going to call it North American Data. We'll edit the filter, and we will say geography, sales territory country, in list, pick a list of values, and we're going to pick Canada and the United States. Click OK. OK, so now we see we have the filter definition. I'll click OK and OK one more time. So we have the North American Sales Business Security Profile, and we're going to assign Edward to this profile. Go ahead and save. So in order to test this filter we've created in a business security profile called North American Sales, I've created a report called Filter Data-Edward. You can see I'm logged in as the administrator now, and I haven't assigned the administrator group to that business security profile. So if I run this report while logged in as the administrator, we'll see the results we get. So we're getting results not just for Canada and the United States, but for every country in the database. So that makes sense since we haven't assigned that security profile to the administrator. Now let's log off as the administrator and log in as Edward. So you can see now I'm logged in as user Edward, and if you recall, in Information Design Tool, we assigned Edward to the North American Sales Business Security Profile, which has a filter on North American data just for Canada and the United States. Now, logged in as Edward, if I click on this report to open it, it should refresh on open, and I'm seeing data for only Canada and the United States. So this business security profile worked as we expected it to. At this point, let's recap what we've done so far. So we've created 3 business security profiles for the AdventureWorks Demo Universe. The first one was sales by geographic region, and this was intended to restrict the objects that could be selected by a user when creating a new report, and also only granting that user access to view data from those 3 classes that we assign them access to. The next one that we created was called product sales, and in this one we restricted the data that could be viewed in an existing report. So we restricted it to reseller sales, product order date, and geography sales territory. If this user tried to run a report with objects to any of the other classes in the universe, they would receive an error message, and this one worked also. And the last one we did was the North American sales, where we created a filter for North American data that would return data only for the United States and Canada. So we created these 3 business security profiles so far. So now we're going to add another element into the equation. In a previous video, I created a data security profile on country restriction. I suggest you have a look at that video to see how this was accomplished, but basically there is a row level security table in the database, and you assign a username and a country. So for example, administrator has access to Canada and United States. So we're back in the information design tool. I've created another business security profile called Canadian data only, and the filter is sales territory country not in list. So every country that's not Canada is in this filter. The Canadian data only business security profile specifically eliminates data from every country except Canada, and I've assigned the administrator account to this profile. So I've assigned the administrator account to the Canadian data only business security profile and to the country restriction data security profile. So I'm now logged in as the administrator. I'm going to go ahead and open Web Intelligence. I'm going to create a new document based on the universe. And I'll pick the AdventureWorks demo universe. So logged on as the administrator, I have access to all of the dimensions, all of the measures. However, I do have a couple of restrictions based upon me in the data security profile and the business security profile. So if I go ahead and select the country, and I select the order year, calendar year, and the sales amount, and I run this query, we will see I only get results for Canada. So let's have a look at why that is. So let's have a look and determine why we're only seeing data from Canada. If I go into the Data Access tab and edit the current data provider, and have a look at the script that's run when logged on as the administrator, we'll see that there's a couple of where clauses added to the script. And one of them is taking advantage of the data security profile where the administrator account is in the row level security table and it's been assigned to Canada and the United States. The other one is the business security profile where the sales territory country is not in every country except Canada. So in the row level security table, I've been granted access to the United States when logged on as the administrator, but in the business security profile, the United States has been removed from the results. Just run it again, and we'll see we're only getting results from Canada. This is Al Williams from Sunset Hill Solutions. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned a little bit about security that you can assign to universes in Business Objects 4.0.